Samacheer Kalvi, 10th standard English, Unit 1, Prose 1. His first flight, written by Liam O'Flaherty. Before moving to the prose, we have to learn about the author. Liam O'Flaherty. His period was between 1896 and 1984. He was an Irish novelist. Irish means the people of Ireland. Novelist means one who writes novel. He was a short story writer. Short story means a story with a single plot or a single idea with limited characters. Story writer means one who writes stories. He was a major figure in the Irish literary renaissance. Renaissance means the revival of art and literature under the influence of classical models in the 14th and 16th century. He was a founding member of the Communist Party of Ireland. Communist Party means a political party that actively advocates a communist form of government. A native Irish speaker from the Gaeltacht. Gaeltacht means an Irish area of Ireland. Flaherty wrote almost exclusively in English, except for a small number of short stories in the Irish language, which means he has written a small number, a very few short stories in his mother tongue. He spent most of his time in traveling, which means he was very much interested in traveling. Traveling means moving from one place to another place. He lived comfortably and quietly outside the spotlight. Outside the spotlight means get away from a focus of public attention, which means he wanted to be alone almost of his lifetime. Then we move on to the theme of the story. The theme of the story, his first flight, is having courage and self-confidence. The story is about a seagull who is on its stage of learning how to fly. It also deals with the theme of how to overcome fears and move forward. Let us move to the characters of this story. The young seagull and its family. His family consists of 6 members, including a father, a mother, the young seagull, and his 2 brothers and a sister. Let us move to the background of the story. The story is an account of the young seagull bird that is afraid to fly for the first time. He believes that his wings would not support him. Despite his younger siblings flying fearlessly with much shorter wings, he could not gather the courage to do the same. He was to stay hungry if he did not try. Thus, it was his mother that compelled him to fly by using food as a trap. Let us see the first paragraph of this story. The young seagull was alone on his sledge. His 2 brothers and his sister had already flown away the day before. He had been afraid to fly with them. Somehow, when he had taken a little run forward to the brink of the ledge and attempted to flap his wings, he became afraid. The great expanse of sea stretched down beneath, and it was such a long way down, miles down. He felt certain that his wings would never support him. So he bent his head and ran away back to the little hole under the ledge where he slept at night. The explanation. In this first paragraph, the author describes the fearlessness of the young seagull. The young seagull who is at the ledge of the mountain where he has to learn fly. Unlike his younger brothers and sister, he is too afraid to fly. When all of them went for flying for the first time near the edge of the sea, except him succeeded. He could not trust his wings. He got terrified by the vast sea and got convinced that he could never fly. As a result, he was ashamed and disheartened, and thus he went inside the ledge where he usually slept. Let us see the hard words from the first paragraph. Seagull, a bird that lives near the sea and has short legs, long wings, and white and grey feathers. Ledge, a narrow horizontal shelf projecting from a wall, or here a cliff. Brink, the extreme edge of land before a steep slope or a body or water. Expanse, a wide continuous area of something. Let us move to the second paragraph. Even when each of his brothers and his little sister, whose wings were far shorter than his own, ran to the brink, flapped their wings, and flew away, he failed to muster up courage to take that plunge, which appeared to him so desperate. His father and mother had come around calling to him silly, scolding him, threatening to let him stare on his ledge unless he flew away. But for the life of him, he could not move. Explanation. In the second paragraph, the author describes about the young seagull's siblings managed to take their first flight, despite their wings being shorter than his. But he could not summon the courage, though he tried so desperately. He was scolded by his parents for not trying again, but he was so afraid that he could not even move. Hard words from the second paragraph. Flapped of a bird move its wings up and down when flying or preparing to fly. Muster, gather, plunge, jump or dive. Shrilly, with a high-pitched and piercing voice or sound. Let us move to the third paragraph. That was 24 hours ago. Since then, nobody had come near him. The day before, all the day long, he had watched his parents flying about with his brothers and sister, perfecting them in the art of flight, teaching them how to skim the waves and how to dive for fish. He had, in fact, seen his older brother catch his first herring and devour it, standing on a rock while his parents circled around raising a proud cackle. And all the morning, the whole family had walked about on the big plateau midway down the opposite cliff, laughing at his cowardice. Explanation. In the third paragraph, the author describes about the young seagull bird had been alone for a day after he tried, because his parents were busy focusing on his siblings. He helped his siblings master the art of flying and diving for fish. His older sibling even caught his first fish, which he proudly ate at a rock, while his parents celebrated it. That morning, his parents taunted him all the way for being a coward. Let us move to the hard words from the third paragraph. Herring, a soft fine sea fish. Devour, eat quickly. Cackle, laugh in a loud or harsh way. Cowardice, lack of bravery. Let us move to the recap of today's class. The story, His First Flight by Liam O'Flaherty, is about a young seagull who is afraid to fly. All his younger siblings, despite their much shorter wings, flew fearlessly, while he could not gather the courage to trust his own wings. The young seagull became sad when he saw his parents perfecting his young siblings in the art of flying. His parents scolded him for not even trying. They even called him a coward. Then we move on to the question time. Why did the young seagull fail to fly? The answer is, the seagull failed to fly because he was afraid to fly. The second question. What did the parents do when the young seagull failed to fly? The answer. When the young seagull failed to fly, his parents scolded him and threatened to let him stare on the ledge. Third question. How was the young seagull's first attempt to fly? Or why did the seagull fail to fly? The answer. The young seagull's first attempt to fly was a failure because he was afraid to fly. He failed to muster up courage to fly. Instead of flapping his wings and flying away, he ran back to the little hole. Fourth question. How did the parents support and encourage the young seagull's brothers and sister? The answer. The parents supported and encouraged the young seagull's brothers and sister by perfecting them in the art of flight, teaching them how to skim and surf the waves and how to dive for fish. Okay students, in this today's class, we have seen the prose with the entitle of His First Flight, which is written by Liam O'Flaherty. We will see the remaining paragraphs in the next video. Thank you.